Welcome to the Wild Crone Wisdom podcast with your host Vinutha Mohan. In this episode, we explore what ingredients make up the secret sauce of healthy parenting through the wisdom of an alley cat. There was once an old alley cat. One day, as he was strolling around a rich neighborhood, he saw a young aristocrat chasing its tail. The young cat was desperately trying to grab its tail in its mouth. Curious, the old cat asked him what he was doing. The young aristocrat replied, "Oh, I was at a cat retreat last week and I found out that we cats have our happiness stored in our tails. So I'm trying to grasp it in order for me to be happy all day." The old alley cat pondered over this information for a minute or so and then replied, "You know, I have spent all my life in dark alleys and dirty streets. I'm not young and sophisticated like you. I have no formal education or means to attend retreats. But I have learned a thing or two about life and happiness. It is indeed true that we cats have our happiness stored in our tails. What I learned is that if I go about minding my business and doing what I love, my tail seems to be following me wherever I go." This story reminds me of the valuable lessons we learn from unexpected sources. It's a tale I often think of when I reflect on my father and my husband, both of whom shaped my understanding of love, parenting, and happiness in their own unique ways. A couple of weeks ago was my father's birthday. He was an amazing man who loved me dearly, but whom I lost far too early. Similarly, my husband is an equally wonderful dad and is adored by our adult children. While my dad had a grandiose way of displaying his affection, my husband shows it in many random acts of kindness every day. When I watch him, I'm reminded of the old alley cat, quietly wise, doing what he loves, and naturally earning the admiration of those around him. Many clients ask me about tools and skills for parenting and how to raise responsible, loving, and caring children. Like the aristocrat, I learned about parenting from my alley cat husband. While I devoured books and podcasts on parenting, he learned a thing or two in the back alleys. And whatever wisdom I have, I learned from him. He taught me two invaluable lessons about parenting. Lesson 1: Be a mother, not a martyr. My husband has always modeled well being by never overextending himself as a parent. He knew that if you overextended yourself as a parent, you would always feel underappreciated and resentful in the end. He was very good about boundaries and self care, which made him come across as a consistently loving and trustworthy parent. His no was as consistent as his yes. It made him appear as a calm and patient parent, ever willing to help. But his help was never ever at the cost of his own well being, physically, emotionally, or financially. Oxygen mask first on yourself and then on your children is what he firmly believed in. However, neither of his children would ever describe him as selfish. Go figure. Lesson 2: A healthy marriage is the foundation for good parenting. He vehemently believed that the secret to good parenting is a healthy and happy marriage. From the day we got married, I always came first, and more than 3 decades later, that is still true. As a result, we have never had a single fight or disagreement about parenting the children. We were always a team, and we always had each other's back. This then prevented us from triangulating the children in our marriage. Triangulation happens when the children become the third wheel in a marriage then they get caught up in the marital discord. It can take many forms: crossing boundaries by using the children as a confidant, sharing too many intimate details of the marriage, elevating one of the children as a default spouse, and having them step up to fill the emotional, physical void left by the spouse, overly investing in the children, turning into tiger parents and hoping to fulfill all their unfinished dreams through the children, sabotaging each other while trying to parent the children by detouring their marital conflict through fighting about the kids. It can take many more flavors of dysfunction like this. Suffice to say that healthy and wholesome parenting flows from a healthy couple subsystem. A family system is made up of many subsystems, such as a couple subsystem, the sibling subsystem, the parental subsystem, and so on. Two things to me are key to a healthy family system: the individual well being of the two parents, as well as the health of the couple's relationship, married or not. When these two foundational systems are well in place, it will be purely for the well being of our children rather than a reaction to our unmet needs. Children come into this world with their own blueprints of what it is that they have come to explore and co create with the universe. We, as parents, are like gardeners. We prep the soil, add good fertilizer, plant the seeds lovingly, and water it regularly. Then we trust the natural intelligence of the seed to sprout, grow, mature, flower, and bear fruit on its own timeline. Anytime we try to interfere in this process, we will end up hurting the plant and affecting the yield adversely. Like the old alley cat, my husband's wisdom lies in simplicity. When it comes to parenting, less is more. Mind your own well being and get out of their way as much as possible. When we focus on our own well being and nurture a strong partnership, everything else naturally falls into place. It is no surprise that his children, nieces, and nephews follow him like the Pied Piper. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Wild Crone Wisdom with your host Vinutha Mohan. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist from the Bay Area, California, specializing in trauma and attachment repair. I'm also a certified EMDR specialist and a certified shamanic practitioner. In this podcast series, we delve into the journey of our spiritual essence having a human experience. While many social scientists study human emotions, thoughts, and behaviors, and others explore transcendental experiences, few bridge the gap to help embody the spiritual wisdom in everyday life. I call this the psycho spiritual path. Through this podcast, I hope to share bite sized practical insights for navigating life as an empowered sovereign being. If you found this episode valuable, we'd greatly appreciate your support. Please consider rating, reviewing, commenting, and subscribing on your podcast platform to help us reach a wider audience. You can explore more of my writings on Medium by following the link in the show notes. We'd also love to hear about your experience, so feel free to share your thoughts with us at Wild Crone Wisdom Podcast at gmail.com. Thank you for being part of our journey. Please be advised the information provided in the Wild Crone Wisdom podcast is intended for general information purposes only. Vinutha Mohan is a licensed therapist and healer. However, the content shared in this podcast does not replace or constitute professional advice, therapy, or counseling. It is essential to consult with a qualified mental health professional for personalized guidance regarding your unique circumstances. Thank you.